folks. Good evening, and thank you so much for joining me. The music we would have started off with was Destra Garcia's 2009 offering that I thought would have won Road March for certain that year, Bacchanal, the road mix version of Bacchanal. So Yvette Clement Superville, Carla McIntyre, Len-Lise Winchester, Crizelle Pear, Shakira James, Pauline Dennis, Jennifer Cornwall, Jennifer Martindale, Rena Jennings, Janelle Speth Brown, all of you that are here right now, thank you so much for joining me this evening. So this evening was one of those evenings. Hi Barbara, hi Paula, hi Gemma, hi Merlene, hi Candice Santana. Candice, I'm shocked that you're here this evening. I know you's a woman fetting hard every weekend. You and you alone making sure that you rejuvenate the economy. I mean, right now the domestic economy looking good because Candice Santana is fetting every weekend. Like every fet it have. There are at least 2 events I've been to. I saw Candice off in the distance and did have the opportunity to grab her attention. So I know Candice out there and Candice outside. Candice spending money. Candice making sure them vendors and them make a little cacada for this carnival season that will take them through the next couple months of existence, right? So Candice, the work that you are doing, the hard work that you're doing, the service that you're doing outside it for the domestic economy, I want to thank you for this hard work, the service that you're putting out there for the domestic economy. I too am trying to do my best for the domestic economy and attending events and patronizing vendors because they had a hard 2 years or 3. Let me see, we celebrated Carnival in 2020, so it was 2021 and 2022 no Carnival. So they had a hard 2 years without Carnival. Hi Chancellor 7 of 9. Hi Hyacinth Richardson, Tyrell, Kinder, N. Perry, Kimberly Collins, Timari, all of you that are here, Taker George, or is it Teka or Tika? Let me know how to pronounce it, Tika. Rosemont Rose, all of you. Hi John Cato, hi Patricia Dufu, hi to all of you. So today, hey, Joy Ragunanan here, boy, nice. Hi 29 Super C, hi Leonard Peters. We almost didn't have a live this evening. Why? Because I took my 2 children, well, you know who my 2 children are at this point in time. I took my 2 children out for a walk and they bounce up another dog that they from time to time friendly with. And the 2 of them take off. I was trying to hold them back, but the 2 of them take off. Pelt across the savannah. And it was races with me, them, the other dog, the owner of the other dog for the majority of our walk in the savannah. But I eventually caught them and calmed them down, and we had a nice calm walk back to the car eventually. But of course it meant that I was late to be back here to prepare and get everything together. So I managed to take a bath, put on my face, and line up some of the media and stuff for this afternoon. But I'm going to take it slow because we have plenty backs that we need to be talking about this evening. So I'm going to take my time and discuss all of the backs and not get too hot and sweaty after pelting across the Queen's Park Savannah this evening. Listen, all you the real catch kicks off of me, running behind the dogs. And then, let me show you something. Is this earring, boy? So Ellie Mack made these lovely earrings to me. This earring bent up. I'm not sure if the camera will show it properly. This right. So this part here bent. You know why this part bent? Because Starboy Barrett. I bending down to do something for Starboy. Starboy eyeing the earrings for the longest while because he fascinated by earrings, right? Starboy Barrett grab the earring, right? He put him out on my ears. He pull it off. And he puts the whole earring in his mouth, right? So it's there in his mouth. And it's hidden in his mouth. And he runs off. Now I know for him is a big game when he grabs something of mine because he just do it with shoes, socks, any item or clothing that he knows that, you know, I'm about to use or going to use. He will grab my shoes, all kind of foolishness he will do, right? So Starboy grabs it, runs off. And I know that what he wants me to do is to run after him. I do not run after him. He eventually comes back inside. Like I said, the whole earring in Starboy mouth. You know what Mr. Man do? Mr. Man spits part of the earring back out of his mouth. So up to this point, so that I could see that he had the earring in his mouth, and then he swallows it and he runs off again. So I eventually had to go and hold him down and wrestle him, open his mouth and take my earring out of Starboy mouth. You think it easy with these dogs? It ain't easy with them, you know. It's non-stop dramas with the two of them. So thank you so much for showing up. And let me get into it. Yeah. Let me get into it. So Tech Guy was super busy this weekend as well, because he has a job coming up this week. So he just kind of slapped together a poster for us. But I felt he didn't do too bad. So I told him I wanted a Civil War theme. So he hit was it Captain America Civil War or Avengers Civil War, something like that. So that's the theme that he would have used for the poster. And I want a little pay attention to the poster. Well, you know the usual suspects, Shagari and Marsha Walker. And these days Marsha and all outside, because she all outside in Woodford Square and on the pavement in front of the Parliament. We have Anil, we have Kamala, we have the Prime Minister, we have Foster Cummins, we have Christine Kangaloo, Richie Sukai, Small Bamboo Energy, Inshan Ishmael, Israel Khan, Rudal Munilal, Nian Gadsby Dolly. And I go in to take my time and get into it, right? Because it had plenty we had to cover this evening. So what is I planning to do here? Oh, let me show you what is I planning to do, because I want to change up. I want to change up things for a little bit. Is it this one? Yes, it's this one. Ay. Listen, I'm feeling like a boss, you know, because I'm learning new things. Right. So you know, well, all you know how the program is run now, right? We're running with good news first. So the first set of good news. The week start off with plenty good news, and I'm not gonna lie, there were a number of things. I didn't remember all of them. Some of them I saved and put into a folder. So here we go. First things first. Oh, I need to shift myself around a little bit. Right, first things first. We had 97 young men graduate from a men's mentorship movement program this week. And I want us to give a hearty round of applause to these 97 young men. Look at them. Young, promising, handsome, and they took part in a mentorship program. And you know why I want us to give them a round of applause? Not just because they graduated from this program, but because our young men need support. Our young men need to be encouraged. Our young men need to know that we value them, that we see them as worthy, that we see their progress as something that we want to be invested in. Because young men, particularly young black men from specific communities in this country, just get a hard time. They just take a bad rap all the time. Remember last year how all of we unite for the youngster who ought to have placed first in common entrance, SCA, to be able to get the President's Medal? All of we unite, we band up, and we made our voices heard. So the injustice that was going to be done to that young man who would have placed first in SCA the year in which he did SCA, we made sure that he got his flowers. Le Kareem Marcel. Kareem, I'm glad to see you here, because I think you, better than I, would understand the challenges that young men, young black men, and young black men from specific communities in Trinidad and Tobago this face. So we go in to give them, a round of applause, and as much as possible, whenever you can, encourage young black men, because we want them to understand that we value them, that we're not going to be dragging them down, we're going to be lifting them up. this is not to say that I ain't want us to big up and lift up young black women as well, but we could discuss that in the next program, right? So we're bigging up young black males, and I'm very proud of these young men, and I thought the picture was a lovely photograph of them, especially the one in the middle who kind of watching the camera, you know, a little kind of shy, a little cut eye. I thought the picture was a lovely picture. So that's the young black males from Mova. Wait now, I have things mixed up here. I have some mixed up things here. Yes, right. I ain't want to have too much because I mix up some things here that I ought not to have mixed up here. Then another, I'm going to say it's good news. Good news in that McDonald Jacob has come to the end of his tenure as a police officer. He reached retirement age. He is retiring from the position. There is a lot that he inherited that I felt sorry for, and there's a lot that he was able to do, and there was also a lot that he wasn't able to do. I feel his tenure as Commissioner of Police was a very rough a very rough tenure as Commissioner of Police. I also think that he had a very bad time, a very hard time with media, coming off the tenure of Gary Griffith. I think local media houses here were invested in having Griffith remain as Commissioner of Police, and I'm clear why. And Jacob had a difficult time. I also think that we've never really paused to look at statistically what he achieved, and that's partly my fault. And you know why that's partly my fault? There's data that I had my researcher collect since last year, looking at the number of firearms that were seized, looking at the number of cases, cold cases and current cases that would have been solved. And we needed to sit here as a group, Pan Beaters United FC, because you know that's my new name for us, right? Since they decided we's a gang, it's Pan Beaters United FC. And we needed to sit here and discuss what he achieved versus what he didn't achieve, and also discuss what are the challenges that policing faces. So hopefully I'll have the opportunity to do that. As a matter of fact, I'm hoping to have the opportunity to interview whoever is the next Commissioner of Police, but we will see how it goes. So I just wanted to take the opportunity to say congratulations on your retirement, and also thank you for taking on the hard job of serving as acting Commissioner of Police in a time that would have been rife with plenty bacchanal and plenty stress, right? That's what I wanted to say. Next piece of good news that we had, certainly I had, because I don't know what is going on with the rest of media. I swear the rest of media falling asleep. So 3 days ago, I would have put up a post letting all you know that I was aware that 8 police officers linked to the FUL investigations have been detained. They were detained, held for questioning, and overnight, last night, they would have been charged. My understanding is that they were charged for conspiracy, and they were granted bail by the Justice of the Peace and released at around 4 o'clock in the morning. I think this is good news, because we often think that the police don't police itself. We often think that the police not going to investigate itself. We often think that any investigation, any allegations of wrongdoing against the members of the police service, that within the police service itself, nothing is going to happen, nothing is going to be done about wrongdoing. So it was good to see that this investigation that would have been triggered since 2021, late 2021. Yep, since late 2021. Now we are in early 2023, and 8 officers have been arrested and charged, and the investigations are ongoing. So we will see where it gets to, like the case, the evidence, and the sentencing. But at the very least, there is some level of progress. So we've gone from allegations to an investigation to charges. Those from 2021 to now. Allegations, investigations, charges. So we are seeing how our criminal justice system is working. We are seeing how long things take when you go from allegations to an investigation to charges. It's been more than a year, but now we're at the point where the DPP has laid charges. So now 8 officers have to go before the courts and answer questions, prove their innocence, as it were. Okay? And we're still waiting on that report. I still want to see that report that Griffith file injunction to block so that the public can read the report. I want to read the report even more now. Since the arrest of these 8 fellas is now self, I want to read that report. So, right. So that's the good news. That's the good news for the hour. Hopefully I have more good news mix up anywhere else up inside here. So, next thing. Actually, maybe this thing with Marsha Walker is also good news, right? So let me think of this as good news. So Marsha Walker, all you know who Marsha Walker is, right? Marsha was on the poster down in the corner. Marsha Walker functions from time to time as a temporary senator for the UNC. Marsha Walker in the 2020 elections challenged Dr. Rowley for the Diego Martin West seat. Marsha Walker also now functions as an activist for the United National Congress. I don't know that she does any other kind of work. I'm not aware that she is hired anywhere else doing any kind of work, right? So that's what Marsha does do. And Marsha get up a day and decide she go in and protest.
Here we have Marsha Walker. Marsha, come, I want to get a word with you. Why are you in the square and not on the streets with us?
Because the TPP has sent a letter and tell me I can't come on the pavement and square.
And how are you feeling about that?
I think the citizens need to see how much of a dictatorship we're living in. When we can start to single out citizens and stop my right to protest.
Now, me and Tech Guy just get real kicks off of Marsha, right? Real kicks. But I am at the point now where I'm thinking to myself, I need to stop catching kicks where Marsha is concerned. And I need to start a GoFundMe so that I could send money for this girl to be able to afford therapy sessions. Because I becoming disturbed. I am beginning to think that perhaps Marsha needs therapy. That perhaps Marsha need to sit down and talk to somebody about what traumatic events in her past life have her behaving like this currently. Because Marsha comes to the camera, and it is clear to me that the camera set up this whole thing, right? Whoever it is, they arrange this whole thing. So you're there in the pouring rain, you're taking wet, and then you come and you say you want people to see the level of dictatorship that we currently in. You're in Woodford Square to protest, You're out in public protesting. Nobody has stopped you from being in Woodford Square to protest. The other protesters are on the pavement in front of the Parliament asking why she not on the pavement in front of the Parliament. And Marsha's response to the cameras, and this makes it all over TikTok and other social media platforms. Marsha's response to the cameras is that we're in a dictatorship and Keith Rowley, because they love to, and Keith Rowley. How the Prime Minister comes into this, I don't know. Because it is the TTPS who is responsible for giving people permission to protest or blocking their permission to protest. So to turn around and say Keith Rowley one would think, if you didn't know better, if you were listening to this video and you're trying to understand how Trinidad and Tobago does work, you would think to yourself, well, Keith Rowley, whoever Keith Rowley is, because Marsha does say Keith Rowley, like that is she friend, she does be pitching marble with this man when the day come. Keith Rowley, you would think he's the Commissioner of Police. But no, hark, he is not the Commissioner of Police. He's the Prime Minister of the government here. And he has nothing to do with who gives whom permission to protest in Woodford Square. So Marsha there in Woodford Square, protesting. No police doing anything at all. But she run up to her camera to tell the camera that she living in a dictatorship. And she ensures that she is saying this from behind bars. And they make sure that they crop the camera footage in such a way. So you're seeing Marsha behind bars in pouring rain while she starts saying she is living in a dictatorship. Because they know the visuals that they want to present to the outside world. And I want you all to remember this. The minute you decide that you are putting things up on social media, it is not just staying within your clique. It is not just staying within the country. It becomes global. Anybody could access it. Anybody could see it. So Marsha goes and stands up in Woodford Square, taking a wetting, taking a good soak down. Who knows? Maybe that's the only place she does get a good soak down, right? Maybe nobody else interested in soaking down Marsha when the day come. So Marsha in the square, taking a good soaking, pretending that she has been blocked from protesting until we see this letter. And this letter, dated the 20th of January 2023, addressed to Mr. Brian Baig, says the following. And Brian Baig is an attorney. He works with the United National Congress, and one of their MP's offices, Brian Baig, functions. It says, approval to assemble. Reference is made to your applications dated January the 12th, 2023. Please be informed approval has been granted to your clients, Mr. John Lakis and Ms. Marsha Walker, to have a peaceful assembly within Woodford Square with Section 68(1) of the Motor Vehicle and Road Traffic Act, Chapter 4850. The assembly shall take place as follows. Friday, 20th January 2023, from 12 p.m. to 1:30 p.m. So Marsha and them had a whole 90 minutes to wele the backside in Woodford Square. Marsha knew that she only had permission to wele she backside inside Woodford Square. So Marsha went down to the hot Woodford Square, stand up in the pouring rain inside the hot Woodford Square, get somebody to come and film her standing up inside Woodford Square where she was given permission to protest, right? So she stand up in the square where she was told she could protest, protested, and then have somebody come and ask her, why are not out on the pavement protesting with we? And Marsha, the tunts that she is, wouldn't turn around and say to anybody, well, this is where I'm supposed to be protesting. This is where I was given permission to protest. Instead, what she says is she is being denied access to the pavement because she living in a dictatorship. A whole police letter, a whole police letter saying this is where you could protest, and you could protest for 90 minutes, right? You could have your assembly here for 90 minutes. I wish I could have seen the letter that Brian Baig wrote to the TTPS, because based on this letter from the TTPS, Marsha ain't right asking to protest, Marsha right asking to have a peaceful assembly in Woodford Square. But then she come and she telling people that she come out to protest. She wanted to be on the pavement, and the government, not the TTPS, the government banning she from being on the pavement. When it have a whole letter dated, stamped and signed from the Commissioner of Police saying, ma'am, we get the letter from your lawyer. This is where you could protest. This is where you could have a peaceful assembly within the Woodford Square for 90 minutes. Me have nothing else to say, When I start to collect funds for Marsha, it will not be for a hamper. It will be so that Marsha can have the counseling that she so desperately needs. Because it is clear to me, anybody who lying the way Marsha lying, anybody who behaving the way Marsha behaving, anybody who using language the way Marsha does use language, loose all over the place, needs therapy. Clearly. So, that is Marsha, and that is Marsha's story. So now, let me move on to small bamboo energy. Are you ready to talk about small bamboo energy? Are you ever in a situation? Are you ever had, all you ladies, let me ask the ladies. I mean, I guess I could ask some of the guys too, because I may or may not have persons from the LGBT community listening, guys from the LGBT community listening to me. Are you ever had a man who, he dick small now? It ain't as big as he would have liked it to be. And so he spent his whole life having insecurity issues about his dick. And because he having all of these insecurity issues, actually let me use the proper word for it, penis. So I ever had a situation where you're with a man, and the man penis small. And because he penis small, he dealing up with all of these insecurities where his small penis concerned. And so, because his penis is small, and because he living in a society where having a big penis, this, make you, important, right? You're there, and you basically, you just want to be fighting with everybody about all kind of thing. And you have all of this internal embarrassment, all of this internal contempt and thing for yourself, really, because your penis is on the small side, right? People who you notice just be giving off a particular kind of energy where they always have nasty things to say. They always attacking. They only have contemptuous things to say about other people. I just refer to that as small dick energy. And since in Trinidad we have a range of words we just use to reference people dick. I know bamboo is one of the words, right? We talk about bamboo. Remember last week I played the bamboo song at the start of the live? Take bamboo, girl. Oh, take bamboo right there, girl. Take bamboo, girl. Right. So it has some fellas. There are problems because the bamboo small. The bamboo ain't throwing no shade at all. As a matter of fact, the bamboo ain't even form a clump. It's just one lone bamboo that's standing up. That's just standing up there. Right? The bamboo just there, the bamboo looking sad, the kind of thing. So it's not a clump, because sometimes when you're driving and thing and you're going river, you're going north coast, you just see a big clump of bamboo that stand up right. No, it's not that. It's one lone bamboo, and the lone bamboo there looking real squingy and ming-pilling, and it little naked and cold. And so fellas who dealing up with them kind of issues, them kind of feelings, there's a kind of energy that is give off. And you see when you bounce up fellas who giving off that kind of energy, so you just had to give them a wide berth, because it ain't nothing you could ever do to get them to feel better about themselves and to behave differently. It's a deep self-esteem issue. And when you have that kind of deep self-esteem issue, anything and everything that strip you off a young black male from Sealots or Beetham getting a law degree could trip you off, right? That little things like that could trip you off, right? And all of a sudden, your small bamboo energy does just flare up. As a matter of fact, a black female who minding she business, talking about current affairs, discussing, the politics and the culture and thing of the day, I could trip you off. Trip you off to the point where you're putting up all kind of posts about who had blonde hair and who had to do work on their mouth and who had to fix their teeth, and because you struggling with your small bamboo energy. And that's what small bamboo energy does lead you to have to deal up with. So last week we talked about Bamboo Village, and we talked about an issue surrounding Bamboo Village. We talked about, let me see if I could find the posts on them. We talked about this post from December 29th, 2022, where Inshan Ishmael, who is a resident of Bamboo Village number 2, Inshan Ishmael would have put up a number of very tasteless incendiary posts about carnival. I see Ali Bob say, when he talk about my hygiene, Ali Bob, don't let them things vex your spirit. As a matter of fact, I'm going to pause for 2 seconds here and explain something about small bamboo energy. When a man has small bamboo energy, he will resort to the lowest, most vulgar, most contemptuous behavior to get back at people. And he is always going to pull race cards or sexist cards. So he will either go for race, he will go for sexism, he will even go for, he'll attack people based on orientation, all of those things. I am accustomed to men behaving like that. So I was unsurprised that small bamboo energy would decide that he's going to attack me based on my personal hygiene, as if he has ever been around me long enough to smell me. But you see, all of that is dog whistle behavior, because we like to talk about persons of African descent as being stinking nasty. That's a colonial throwback. That's something we inherited from colonial times, speaking about black people as stinking nasty. And so there are lots of black people, especially black women, that have hang-ups about their hygiene and always fixated on making sure their hair perfect, their clothes perfect, they over bathing and over washing and over powdering themselves. And all of that is as a result of colonial ideas, colonial stereotypes that we have inherited. So I am unsurprised that things were said about my hygiene, that things were said about my looks, that things were said about my teeth, my hair. But you know what? Not one of them at any point in time could ever credibly say that I dunce. I can't say that, because we all know when I open my mouth, I don't ever sound dunce. So it's all kind of mind games people with small bamboo energy, especially men with small bamboo energy, will want to play with you, because they want you to feel less about yourself. I don't ever feel less about myself. I didn't grow up thinking of myself as inferior to anybody. That may partly be because of the parenting that I received. Not partly, it would have been, I would imagine, entirely due to the parenting that I received. And the other thing is this, and I have to admit to this. I have to embrace it. I have to embrace it as a kind of privilege in that sense. All of you here know my last name is Barrett. And all of you here understand what having Barrett as your last name means. It means that I am mixed race. It means that I am of mixed descent. Most of you here would have at least once seen my father. You all know who my father is because I had him on once. We did a live together for Father's Day and we talked about fatherhood and what fathering means and what it was like for him to have fathered me and all of those things. So me never, not once in my life, because I was born into a household where I had a father of East Indian descent. Never once did it occur to me that I was inferior to anybody of East Indian descent. Never once. Now I know that we have huge tensions in our society. And one of those tensions in our society is that persons of African descent have been made to think and made to feel that they are inferior to every other ethnic group here. And it is because of the privilege that I have had from as a child growing up, never seeing myself as inferior to any other ethnic group, because I grew up in a mixed race home. I just want to come here with my confident self and share that with all you. I just want to give all you some of my confidence energy. I just want all you to understand that it ain't have nothing at all in this world to make you a person of West African descent. There is nothing that makes you inferior to anybody else. You know why? Because for all of the East Indian blood that I have in me, I present as West African. Not so. My features are for the most part African. If you see me, if you ain't know my last name, you ain't automatically going to assume that I am of East Indian descent. You're not going to automatically assume that. I get that you're not going to automatically assume that. And I'm good with that. And I am also good with knowing that I am second to no one. I am inferior to no one. So when somebody with small bamboo energy want to come around me and say nasty things like that, I know that he's not necessarily saying it to hurt me, because he can't hurt me. He's doing it to pump up himself. You know how fellas with small penises just had to buy penis pump to pump up their penis? Right. So when you have small bamboo energy, you just have to say all kinds of nasty things about other people to pump up yourself. And if that is what he need to do, if he need to call my name in his mouth and say nasty things about me in his mouth to make himself feel better, that's his business. That's on him. It has nothing to do with me. Nothing to do with me at all. So whoever, I'm not giving them my energy at all. Not at all. And I don't want you to give them your energy either. When they say nasty things about me, I want you to understand this. I am unbothered. And if I am the subject of the nasty things and I am unbothered, you ain't had nothing to be bothered about either. Right? That's all I want you to remember. I unbothered. You ain't had nothing to be bothered about. So Inshan come in December of last year and said some nasty things about Carnival and made some very weak comparisons about Carnival and other things that money could be spent on, or rather the ways in which the money that being spent on carnival should be spent on other things. Then, I mean, he went into a long rant about it because he ranted well into January. And as I pointed out to you guys here, part of the reason for his rants was to distract and deflect away from the comments and commentary that was coming in the aftermath of the flood situation that had hit Bamboo Village. And the fact that people were pointing out that Bamboo Village flooded not just because of rains, but because of illegal activity within the community. Removal of the riverbank, unplanned developments, people building homes exactly on the riverbank where they ought not to be building, all of those things. So we talked about that, we talked about the ironies, and we talked about the ways in which he was drawing comparisons between his community in Bamboo Village and Beetham. Basically talking about Beetham, Sealots, Laventille, you all know, the black urban communities as crime-based communities, and revising what we know to be part of the history of Bamboo Village. Because he came out and he spoke about Bamboo Village in glowing terms, and nothing wrong with being proud of your community. Nothing is wrong with that at all. It was very easy, in my opinion, for Inshan to come out and speak glowingly about Bamboo Village, and speak about Bamboo Village and point out the positives, but also admit, yes, there are things about the community that would have been unsavory in the past and are probably still unsavory now, but we are also a community of people who are working hard and looking after themselves. But you see, Inshan is one of those persons who can't speak about himself and his people and his community without dragging down another community. So he felt that to discuss bamboo and to discuss the attributes of bamboo, the characteristics of bamboo, the only way he could discuss the characteristics of Bamboo Village number 2 was in relation to Beetham and Sealots and any of the other urban black communities. And that for me is where the problem, that's where the thing just fall apart. That you can't just say, I from Bamboo. There's the good things about bamboo, there's the bad things about bamboo. And as a community, we working on improving ourselves. No, that was impossible for him. That was too hard. It had to be, we from Bamboo is this, and we better than this community, and at least we don't this, that, and the other. And then, what happens? Where is we boy? Where am I? Then, these images blow up. Well, you saw these images? Let me read the text that came with those images. Because I get it on my phone. It says, around 10 a.m. on Friday, 20th January 2023, officers attached to the NCDTF West received a report of larceny motor vehicle, namely a silver-colored Toyota Aqua in Bamboo number 2 settlement area. The party of officers, guided by the said GPS in company with the informant, then proceeded to the company of a known auto garage located at Bamboo Main Road, Bamboo settlement number 2, and began making checks for the said motor vehicle, which was observed located in a warehouse situated on the compound of the business place. A quantity of vehicle seats and a variety of car parts were found. Upon making further checks, the victim positively identified several other parts of the said motor vehicle. Shogona CID continuing inquiries. My understanding is about 11 people get arrested where this particular situation is concerned. Now, I put up the post of the seizure of the parts and the police investigation. I put that up. I put it up without comment, without caption. And true to form, homeboy couldn't help himself. So this is the first post. And this is what struck me. Well, let me read the post. So a stolen car and parts were found in bamboo number 2 yesterday. Meanwhile, so immediately, stolen car and parts were found in bamboo number 2 yesterday. And then he begins to deflect immediately. He goes straight to P&M hotspots. What is a P&M hotspot? Because I put up the post yesterday or day before. Right, I put up the post yesterday about the stolen car parts. Nobody has said anything about UNC or PEP or DLP or ILP or COP or any of the other P's. Nobody said a thing about any political party. But we all know how racist dog whistle language does go. So we know that one of the ways you say black people in this country is to say P&M. So he comes with P&M hotspots. P&M hotspots, you know. So basically, there are crime areas now in Trinidad and Tobago that he is affiliating with a political party. So it's criminal activity from a particular community, and that particular community affiliated with a particular political party. It is nothing short of hate speech. That's what this post is. This post is pure hate speech. So meanwhile, in P&M hotspots, hundreds stolen and dismantled every year. Where the data, Inshan? Because I put up a post with facts. I put up a post that indicating this took place, that took place, the other took place. This how much parts was found. This is the vehicle, GPS, facts. But you put P&M hotspots, hundreds stolen and dismantled every year. And he said, the individual involved is not a resident of Bamboo. Up to now, he does not want to acknowledge a crime took place. The crime is linked to vehicles. And the crime that took place occurred in Bamboo Village number 2. Jilly, based on Inshan's post here, you had to assume, since Inshan is talking about P&M hotspots, by process of deduction, it had to be that he is basically saying that's what the bamboo is. That's the level of insanity in this post from Inshan. So at no point in time does he acknowledge, hey, what is went on there is a bad thing. The thing is, Inshan didn't even have to put up a post. He could have just shared the post about the car parts thing and leave it alone. But instead, he had to jump in and spew hate speech. So the individual involved is not a resident of Bamboo. Whether he's a resident of Bamboo or not, the business place located in Bamboo. Not all the people, and then he goes straight into hate speech again. Not all the people who get food, cards, grants, free electricity, water, no mortgage to pay, dealing drugs and guns, get preferential treatment by you. We will be, no, sorry. Now all the people will be laughing at us again. What the hell does any of that have to do with the fact that a business in Bamboo Village number 2 is under investigation by the police for stealing a car and chopping it up into parts? That is what the post is about. That is what the original investigation is about. Yet you come with this foolishness. Say what? One business out of 300 is not bad. It have P&M areas where 1 out of every 3 houses is criminal. Where them wild statistics coming from? Wild statistics. Pure hate speech. And if that wasn't bad enough, look the next post. Then he starts to make up his own stats, right? Statistics will show that the majority of persons I have assisted locally and abroad are of African descent. What the hell? A business in bamboo is under police investigation for having stolen at least one car, right? And chopping it up in parts. Inchan jumped from that to P&M hotspots with criminals, right? Or P&M criminal hotspots. And then from P&M criminal hotspots to he has given a lot of charity to people of African descent. What the hell, Inchan? What is going on with you? So what does have to do with what went on with the business place in Bamboo Village? Why do you have to come and tell people that you have donated things to people of African descent? The things that you donated to people of African descent, that came out of your pocket? Because to the best of my knowledge, Inchan, you used to take up donations from people. You used to ask people to donate things to you. So it's other people's donations that you have distributed to people in need. And now what I am clear on is that when you are distributing items to people in need, you checking out the ethnicity of the people that you distributing things to. So it's not just enough that people are in need and you have things, or things have been donated to you, and I'm sure in some instances persons from the West African descended community that would have donated things to you. So you get things from black people and you donated to people who are in need, and you now pointing out that you have donated things to black people. Wow, Inchan. Wow. Listen, this like Christmas to me, you know, because you just show your whole self, your whole ashy panty line on display. Me not to say nothing. I don't have to say a word. I just have to go back to these posts from time to time and read these posts, and I know everything that I need to know about the sort of person you would be in public life. Right? So he there, Horn of Africa, 5 million raised in 21 days. From who, Inchan? Not from citizens of Trinidad and Tobago and other parts of the world. So it's not people of African descent who would have also been contributing, because this ain't coming out of your pocket. Haiti, 7 containers of food and clothing. That come out from your alone pocket, Inchan? It's not other people who contribute. Dominica, Trinidad, medical aid. You could go on and on and on, and then all of a sudden, some of all your P&M people. Say it with your whole chest, Inchan. Say it with your whole chest. Because we see in you. Your words revealing every single thing we need to know about you. I didn't have to say nothing about it. Kareem Marcel ain't had to say nothing about it. All I do is put up one post about a crime that took place in a business place in Bamboo Village number 2. No caption, no nothing else. And you jump out your whole self and reveal your whole self. Well done, Inchan. Well done. Keep it up, my darling. Keep it up. So that is small bamboo energy, and I want you all to remember this. Inchan ain't the only person with small bamboo energy. On a regular basis, we had to deal up with Philip, we had to deal up with Gary, we had to deal up with, I had to see some minor names as well, some younger people, younger activists who coming up and they're displaying and demonstrating the same kind of behavior. So it's not just one person, it's a range of small bamboo men. So it's like a forest of small bamboo men, but all of them by themselves, you know, with a small bamboo. I'll tell all you. I'm so glad that I don't have to deal up with small bamboo. That's not my that's not the cross I have to bear. Thank God. The president-elect. This is our new president of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago. She's yet to be sworn in, so she's the president-elect. This is Miss Christine Kangaloo. We spoke about Miss Christine Kangaloo last week. Christine Carla Kangaloo. And based on what the Prime Minister read out in the Parliament on Friday evening, Christine Kangaloo must be about 60 years of age. And I trying to figure out who does get to be 60 years of age and they face so young. My mind's still blown at the number of things that she has done, the number of things she has accomplished, and how youthful she still appears. And I know that at some point in time, a couple years, well, not more than a couple years ago, she would have had a battle with cancer. So I looked on, I listened to the profile of how that was read out into the Parliament. And as I would have said to you all last week, I think that President Kangaloo, or President-elect Kangaloo, is eminently qualified for the job that she's going to do. My major concern are the comments and the pushback that we're likely to get when she starts making nominations. Yes, Fireball, based on, the Prime Minister didn't call her age, but based on the timeline he gave, she's over 50. She had to be over 50 based on the timeline he gave of school and university and law degree and all of the things. So even if she was 50, right? Let's say she was 50, she's still looking real young for 50. All right? So I just thought, whoa, this woman has aged very well. Very well. And I've seen recent pictures of her. So she has aged very well. So this is our president-elect. And there's one thing I want us to discuss here, and then we're going to get into something else. But we still had to talk about the Ooh, listen, I closed off the wrong thing. Sorry. I also need to have some water. This is UNC Councillor Dudnat Meru. And that photograph was taken of the protest that they held, the United National Congress held outside the Parliament on Friday evening. This is a screenshot of a tweet that somebody I follow on Twitter, Attila Springer, put up. And the reason I'm showing you this tweet here is because it mirrored my thoughts so well when I saw the protest. The tweet says, "Do you know the depths of self-hatred you have to descend into to make fun of the names of your own ancestors? What an insult to all the people who were forced to change their names, anglicize them, or be laughed at. What a gross and disrespectful lot." So Dudnat Meru and other UNC supporters put up, went down to the square with a protest and put up placards referring to the president-elect as Christine Kangaroo. Anybody else on this live remembers that Kamla Prasad Bisesa just last year was talking about who have slave name and who don't have slave name? I can't be the only person that remembers that. Anybody else remembers the whole debate about slave name and who don't have slave name, and Kamla telling people, be proud of the names of your ancestors? Again, I want you all to understand just how diseased and psychotic the United National Congress has become. Because here you have a woman of East Indian descent going up, having been nominated, having been nominated to become president of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago. Regardless of her political affiliations, regardless of the political party that you see her as being a part of, Christine Kangaloo is a daughter of our soil. And she's a daughter of our soil of East Indian descent. I'm seeing some of you all saying that she's mixed. I'm not 100% certain. But of East Indian descent. Why would a party, a political party, that claims it is representing the interests of the East Indian community, why would a party that consistently sees itself as being the voice of the East Indian voting base in this country, why would that party then turn around and attack a woman of East Indian descent and make fun of her last name? I want a little remember when Kamala made the comment about slave name last year and slave master name last year, there were a number of persons when she faced backlash and was called racist for making the statements. There are a number of persons. One person I remember very well was Renuka Singh, who was at that point in time still working as a journalist in the Express. Jump out to talk about how persons used to make her feel bad about her name and they didn't pronounce her name properly. And there were a number of persons who were up in arms over the fact that Camille Robinson Regis had read out Kamala's full government name, right? Kamala Sushila Prasad Bisesa. And everybody from the United National Congress was up in arms and protecting their heritage in terms of names. So here we have a young lady from South Trinidad, from a prominent South family, a family that managed to hold on to its last name. It wasn't in a situation where it would have been forced to anglicize its last name or to change its last name to be able to move up in society. It kept its last name, and everybody proud of the family's last name. And the family's last name is a respected last name in Trinidad and Tobago, especially in South Trinidad. And the UNC hosting a protest outside the parliament can't find anything to attack Christine Kangaloo about, President-elect Christine Kangaloo about. They can't find any dirt. They can't find any scandal. And so what they choose to do is attack her based on the sound of her last name. I want all to understand the depth of self-hate that is coursing through the United National Congress. A political party that claims it supports the interests of persons of East Indian descent. A political party that claims people of East Indian descent as their core base. And you are attacking people of East Indian descent based on something as simple as the person's name. That is where the UNC reach. So that's the point I wanted to make about the president-elect with respect to this. But we have finished talk about the president-elect. So, civil wars. Now the week start off with a civil war. but not the civil war you're thinking about. There was a little civil war in the PNM, and I am sure how many of you all picked up on that. Because on the weekend, the PNM had its general council meeting last week, Saturday. And at that general council meeting, Dr. Nian Gadsby Dolly, Dr. Nian Gadsby Dolly, was promoted to the position of deputy political leader of the party, and I would imagine was asked to tender her resignation as vice chair of the party. That happened Saturday evening. Then Monday, I think there was a story on Monday. There was a story on the Sunday in the newspapers. And then by the Monday, there were rumblings that Dr. Gadsby Dolly had decided she was going to defy the political leader and not resign as vice chair of the party and hold two positions, vice chair and deputy political leader of the party. So I don't know if you all picked up on that. I don't know if you all picked up on the tensions involved there. I don't know if you all are aware that currently within the People's National Movement there are some tensions as they move from the internals and shifting towards evolving for the next general elections. So I'm pulling together my data, my information, and I will at some point in time come back. Wait now, I forget to pull up the picture. So there's a Dr. Gadsby Dolly eventually tendered her resignation on the 17th of January, which would have been like the Tuesday morning. So Tuesday of this week, resignation was tendered, and so that particular civil war, that internal fight and wrangling that was going on there with the PNM, that came to an end by Tuesday. At some point in time, we had to revisit this because it have more in the mortar than the pestle. And as I get together all of my details, I go come and tell all about, what else it is going on with respect to the Civil War. But when I saw it, I said to myself, what is really going on here, boy? You can't want to just hold two positions just so. That not making any sense. And why would you, after being promoted to the position of deputy political leader, why would you want to hold on to the vice chair? So I read the letter, and yes, Emwale, I hear you. It's not a letter of resignation. All she says is that she's transitioning to the position of deputy political leader, but I don't think that she will be able to hold on to two positions. But like I said, it made for some raised eyebrows, and I thought, interesting times ahead as the People's National Movement starts to transition and get itself ready for 2022. So I know the word resignation not inside there, but I'm telling you, there are some undercurrents going on inside the People's National Movement, and we go ahead to talk about it at some point in time when I get all my sources straight, when I get all my information correct. So there is how this reach quite here. Talk about mutiny in the UNC. So this is the next civil war that we need to talk about. Talk about mutiny in the UNC. And the mutiny in the UNC start off when this lady was elected as president because she's a good choice. People inside the United National Congress, it came to me and said as much. And then when this fella, my word, me ain't lying to tell you, I don't know how Dr. Rowley does find them, but when he find them, there's always some fine looking fellas who know how to dress and who know how to look well sharp. So Rishi Sukai, or is it Richie? Richie Sukai. Richie Sukai, who was the former head of the Shogunas Chamber of Commerce, is now a senator for the People's National Movement. And the appointment of Richie Sukai as a senator for the People's National Movement have the UNC bitter like Riley. Now, if I had an opportunity to have this young man serve under me, and I pass up on the opportunity to have this young man serve under me, I would have vexed with myself too. Because he young, he good looking, he influential, he have business, and his family is a prominent family in central Trinidad. So why would I, if I was the head of a political party in Trinidad and Tobago, especially a political party that sees itself as representing and being the party of the East Indian community in Trinidad and Tobago, how would somebody that has the credentials that Richie Sukai has, educated, bright, business background, wealthy, prominent family, how this gentleman could come to me as a candidate, as somebody who have interest in getting into the politics, and I turn him down? So my understanding is Richie Sukai offered himself up to be the mayor of Chaguanas to the United National Congress, and Kamla turned him down. That's my understanding. Kamla turned him down. And so, with the turn down, and that would have been, what, since, must be as far back as 2020, right? So he gets turned down, and in 2023, he's selected by the People's National Movement to be a senator, to move up into the Senate. So one of the things that I understand is that Mr. Sukai, Richie Sukai, is being considered as a candidate for one of the seats in Central Trinidad. So the People's National Movement have done with Richie Sukai what they would have done with Faris and Stewart and Terence D'Alsing back in 2010. They've found bright, competent people with, you know, a solid name in their community, brought them in to the Senate, through the Senate, so that they learn from in the Senate, and then eventually, I guess, once he passes screening, he can go forward as a candidate for the general election. So from senator to member of parliament. So Richie got nominated. And the first thing the UNC put up was this post. Or rather, I should say, the first thing anybody from the UNC managed to put up was this post. Because so they was in shock. Although I have to say, I'm not understanding why they were in shock. Because the first time I heard about Richie Sukai's appointment was from somebody within the UNC. So a member of the United National Congress came to me and said to me, "You in here so-and-so going to be the next PNM senator?" And when I heard it, I was like, well, I haven't heard that. I can't say anything. I can't confirm. I can't deny. I asked a couple persons inside the PNM. They hadn't heard anything either. I couldn't confirm. I couldn't deny. So I just waited. And then 2 nights before the announcement that Richie Sukai was going to be sworn in, I had it confirmed that it was Richie Sukai. And I was like, okay, that's a boss move. That is a real strategic, tactical move. I have to, if I had on a hat, I had to take off my hat to the Prime Minister. Dr. Rowley bust on a serious chess move. So the first comment was from Marsha Walker. And she just said, a very interesting choice. And it went downhill after that. Because not too long after, there was Fuad Khan saying, "Poor Rishi, you go find out about hell on planet Earth." Now, I am not sure what exactly Fuad was referring to there. I don't know if he was implying that there would be, that being within the PNM and serving as a PNM senator would be hell on earth, or if the attacks on the United National Congress, that's what he was referring to as hell on earth. Because as soon as the UNC catch itself, it went into overdrive. It was sending threats, it was sending nasty comments. I heard Anil Roberts was making comments about Senator Sukai and saying in a very ambiguous way that Senator Sukai likes Venezuelan women. Now, in Trinidad, liking Venezuelan women tends to be code for liking prostitutes or frequenting prostitutes. That's the kind of foolishness that Anil Roberts was implying. What Anil was doing was incredibly nasty, and let me tell you why. Richie Sukai has a fiancé. Richie Sukai's fiancé is of Venezuelan citizenship. Right? I believe she is Venezuelan. So, when Anil Roberts makes the comment about Richie Sukai liking Venezuelan women and giving the impression that Richie Sukai is into prostitutes, he's attacking Richie Sukai's girlfriend as well. So when I found out all of that, I said to myself, Richie Sukai is from Central Trinidad, from the East Indian community. Kamala and them right in the head. They sure that what they're planning to do, they sure that the best route to take is to continue to attack people of East Indian descent. And so I want to know, people of East Indian descent who still supporting the United National Congress, I real confused. Are you okay with Kamala attacking people of East Indian descent like that, and in the next breath claiming to represent the interests of people of East Indian descent? Because I hella confused at this point, you know. How do you come out in one breath attacking Christine Kangaloo, president-elect, on the basis of her ethnicity by mispronouncing her last name and calling her kangaroo? How do you come out and attack Richie Sukai and his girlfriend and level threats to them and still retain support within the community? Nobody's seeing the cognitive dissonance here. Nobody's stopping and thinking, this is so weird. How you could be saying that you represent this community and then you're attacking the same community that you're representing? How? I find that so confusing. So this was one of the other things that I saw. Ronald Bola in a WhatsApp group. Because of course, everybody witnessed the vote, right? And you would have seen that Christine Kangaloo would have gotten 48 votes of the 73 votes overall. You would have also seen that Israel Khan got 22 votes in his favor. And because he was the UNC candidate, ideally Israel Khan should have gotten 25 votes if all UNC representatives in the parliament that day from the Electoral College had voted for him. So now we know 3 of the 25 UNC representatives in the parliament chose to not support their candidate. So it's one of two things happen. Either they voted for Christine Kangaloo or they spoilt their ballots. So we know there were 3 spoilt ballots in the voting process. So for me, by the process of deduction, by analysis, I'm thinking those 3 spoilt ballots belonged to those 3 MPs. And when that happened, bacchanal. So Saturday's Express, the headline was Kamala shame. Ronald Bola responding to it in a thread, says, "The front page of the Express is an act of mischief. It is a nastiness that can only come from a twisted mind. May the persons who conceived of this perfidy," hey boy Ronald, you read a dictionary, nice, "live a long and torturous life to see their children and grandchildren become thieves and vagabonds and prostitutes, carrying disgrace on their family name for generations to come." Ronald Bowler calling down generational curses on people for posting a story about Kamala, you know. Generational curse, you know. That is the kind of behavior taking place from UNC supporters. I am confused, entirely confused. So here we have a young man who becomes senator and he's attacked. Here we have a competent woman who becomes the president-elect. Both persons are of East Indian descent. And the political party that claims to support persons of East Indian descent somehow find that the smartest thing they could do is attack people of East Indian descent as a way of establishing their, I don't even know what they're establishing. I'm so confused. So their way of drumming up support for whatever it is they are now, because I don't think that we could really say that the United National Congress is even representing the interests of the East Indian voting base. I don't think so. This last week here showed and established otherwise. Because if Kamala was serious about representing the interests of the Indo population here, she would have put forward a more credible candidate to be president-elect. Further to that, or rather even before that, she would not have rejected Richie Sukai when he offered himself up for public service as the mayor of Chaguanas. So it seems to me Kamala has many opportunities and many options to make better choices, but she's not making good choices. And in the midst of all of that, the party seems to be shrinking further and further and further and further into itself, and not really representing the interests of the people that it claims to be representing. Rather, it seems to me that what Kamala is doing is representing only the interests of her inner circle within the UNC. So not even the party, right? So the 25 persons that they would have there, 19 in the lower house and 6 in the upper house. She's not even representing all of their interests. So the latest is Tongsi. It have a letter circulating within the United National Congress. So you know that if you are the Prime Minister or the opposition leader, if enough of your MPs, or rather if a majority of your MPs sign a letter saying that they no longer have confidence in you, you can be removed as the Prime Minister or you can be removed as the opposition leader. So Tong say that there is a letter circulating right now, and there's a possibility that Kamala might be removed as the opposition leader, not the political leader of the UNC, because the only way she can be removed as the political leader of the UNC is through an internal election. And we know, we've had people here that have said that the internals for the UNC is often rigged. So I don't know if they'll ever be able to get rid of her that way. But the understanding is that if enough of her MPs sign a letter indicating that they no longer have confidence in her as the opposition leader, the United National Congress could have a new opposition leader. So we had to look out for that. We had to check that out. We had to see how it's going to happen. In any case, folks, it was nice. It was lovely being here with you all this evening. I want to say congratulations to former Senator Christine Kangaloo on becoming the president-elect, and congratulations to Richie Sukai as well on becoming a senator. And I'll see you all next week. Have yourselves a good week. Take care.